for this next story, we actually have Lisa Ferguson presenting, which I'm very excited for. So take it away, Lisa.
Thank you. Okay, so basically...
He's been waiting to play that, I know it.
Okay, so basically a couple of different studies came out, one from the House and one from the Senate, basically confirming what we already know about for-profit colleges, which is that they're completely shady businesses that care only about profit and very little about student achievement. Basically, in this House study, they found that for-profit colleges are paying their executives based, I think it was 70% off of profit, not the student success rate. And the Senate report was basically just condemning the costs and practices, finding that in just a year, taxpayers spent $32 billion funding these for-profit colleges. Yeah. And meanwhile, we have, executives walking away with, what was it, $13 million in salary, which is basically 13 times the highest paid Ivy League president is making.
That was the number that probably surprised me the most. And there are some shocking numbers in here, but the idea that this guy running, and look, he's not just running one online college, he's running like a consortium or something like that, but that he's getting paid 13 times what I think it was Harvard, their president was getting paid. And look, he's getting paid a ridiculous amount too, let's be clear about that. But he didn't provide 13 times the service to students or to the country at all. I think that this is shameful. Look, we talk about for-profit colleges a lot. I know we probably go on about it too much. But when you look at these numbers, how can we not? $32 billion coming from the American taxpayer?
Ton of money.
And the funding that they get, it's almost entirely through the federal government. So a new regulation was put in place that 10% of their funding had to come from non-government sources. Like, whoa, this high bar being set. It can't just be federal loans. But then they get around that by trying to get as many military students as possible, because military aid, which comes from the government, isn't included in that amount.
Right.
So even with the high regulations that Obama's placed on them,
it's still all coming from the government, basically.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah, and what these colleges are basically doing too is, in order to get all that money, they are setting their tuition at the exact same cost that the highest amount of federal aid you could actually get. Mm-hmm. So that means that they're telling the students, oh, come here because you can get your entire education funded, whether it's through student loans, or you maybe not permanently funded, but temporarily funded. And then basically you have most of the students never even graduate from these colleges, even half drop out within 4 months. So, and yet
the money's still in their pocket.
Exactly, these executives have already taken all the money, so they're walking away with these huge salaries, and meanwhile you don't get an education, and even if you are, I'm sorry to say, graduating from these colleges, you're walking away with a degree that's really not worth a lot in today's career field. So it's just...
There are some that are worth something, but not as much as a traditional college, which would cost you far less.
Right.
And so let's talk about some options. So instead of going there, you could go to a community college. 13% of community college students take out loans. 96% of for-profit college students take out loans. And do you really think that that for-profit college is going to give you that much better of an education than a community college? I don't think so.
No, I mean, I would even think less.
Yeah, and so you talked about they set the tuition at the exact amount that you get in loans.
Right.
So imagine if, like, thankfully, Obama finally raises the amount of loans that you get so that other students can go to more difficult to get into or more expensive colleges.
Then
what do you think?
Then
exactly.
They increase tuition.
It's going to be ratcheted up.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's about incentives. Look, on the Young Turks, Cenk always talks about incentives, and that's how you know what people are going to do. And if we're telling them just make as much money as you want, and you don't even really, all you have to do is market. They talk about something like 22% of the revenue goes towards marketing and recruiting, which is higher than the amount that goes to instruction.
Well, the
what are their
admissions
incentives?
office is also a sales office. I mean,
exactly.
I was reading something about someone who was a recruiter for, I think, Westwood College, and she had sales goals she had to close within 3 days. I mean, this is what you say when you're selling a house or a car.
Or stocks in boiler rooms.
Not an education.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No,
Well,
and they're lying to the students too
Oh.
about accreditation, about certifications that they can get.
Because then the students find out after the fact that actually their credits are not going to transfer to another community college or a university, and then they're just SOL basically.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so it may seem as if at times we're sort of bombarding the channel with these anti-for-profit college things, but look, maybe it's sappy and maybe it's idealistic, but I'm just hoping that some students down the line are going to watch these and realize that just because these schools have official sounding names like University of Phoenix and things like that, or cool names like Full Sail, which I actually think sounds pretty cool, that doesn't mean that they're as legitimate as Yale or something like that. You can't trust everything they say.
Right.
And you need to actually think about the money that you're going to spend. It's easy for them to say that you don't have to pay anything out of pocket. It's all student loans. You still have to pay it eventually.
Eventually.
I'm realizing that now. You should realize it before you go to college.
Exactly.
So I'm
and
trying to
don't
do
fall
public
into
service.
the trap those commercials are setting, because I mean, how often are you watching TV and you see commercials for DeVry or College of America or all those things? And they're obviously targeting people who are a little bit down on their luck right now anyways. Like, get up off the couch, you know, you can get a degree, you can do exactly what you need. And you know, just don't fall into that trap, because they're completely taking advantage of you. And then, you know, if you fall into the statistic, you're going to be dropping out within 4 months anyways, and you still have these student loans, you didn't get a degree, and then they've got an extra, you know, couple mil in their pocket.
Yeah. That reminds me, did you see, I think they ran them in LA, this is before I came to LA, the Everest College commercials?
Oh, you're on the phone all day anyway. Why don't you get on the phone with Everett? Change your life.
You're just sitting around, you don't even have pants on, why don't you go to college?